Hello! Do you notice my nails for day 24? I transformed my self-image because I got the glue that was actually working and able to glue these little dollar store nails on that so excite and delight me because when I was little, I used to see my cousin's friend come over and she would click her nails like I couldn't do because I chewed mine. And I thought she was so arrived, and she was a teacher, and so it became a thing for me that whenever I would see women generally, not just because of her, but she was an example, I loved what they could do with them. And so the first opportunity I had to start getting nails, I did. And I would glue them on myself when I was in grade 7 and started to use them, or maybe it was even grade 6. But it took a long time because my mom totally disagrees with having nails longer than what she could tolerate as a hygienist at the time, which was none. So it was just one of those things where what was important to me wasn't important to my mom, so I really had to fight to be able to have my nails and justify having long nails when I didn't need them. And I haven't had long nails for months because I've been playing small. I have been contracting my energetic self so that I could stay small and stay here. And that is the honest truth. I was having a discussion with a friend that stayed over last night because we went around trying to introduce her and connect her with other women that can actually help her with a familial situation that I believe is a microcosmic expression of the macro, where we have young people who have lost their identity in a personal capacity, and then to have also lost our identity collectively with the certificate of VEX, identity death, AI for the 1 and the 9, of you know what. There are so many things that cannot be spoke of lest we be censored because the algorithms attend to that particular word. That particular word not having been spoken, so which one that is, you have to guess. And to stay left guessing is to stay as king, because then you have to ask questions that allow you to remain as king while asking the questions. And so nails, for me, really meant more than just what the nails actually can do. They're not about the physical, it's about the transformation that takes place when I know my fingers look really nice in videos. And when I put my fingers up and you notice them and it's just touching my body in 3D with nails that I feel are sexy. And so when I don't have nails, I don't feel as sexy, if I'm honest. I don't feel as arrived or polished. I don't feel what I am when I have nails on and can command my hand in a way that is aesthetically pleasing to me. You know what I'm saying? So, that is what my message is. That is when someone sends a question to a video sent. That is why so much is unclear, because we don't draw near enough to the flame or the fire. We just run from the desire we have to connect, because we know that if we do, we could get hurt, and we're scared of it. And so we run away from it, and we sacrifice the opportunity, and we proclaim or profess that we don't really want it, or maybe it's not best for us, but that's BS, and we know it in our heart of hearts, which is the sanctum sanctorum, as the Greeks used to refer to it. The sanctum sanctorum is the heart of hearts. It is the hearth of the inner kingdom of us, where we are the sovereigns who are under reign, sovereign, sovereign. When we are sovereign of ourselves, that means of ourselves, not the VES rather, of our self-image. That now I'm conscious that I've told you about my nails and now I'm doing it because that's what you unconsciously get into just doing. But then I notice that I get distracted because it's like, do you think I'm doing it intentionally? Because I actually wasn't even conscious of it until I was, and then I questioned myself and I got off the train or the track that I was at. Okay, so the noticing of one insecurity led to the pointing out of another, and then the need to stop in order to get back on track, which was where I was talking about self-image as the externalized image that I project into the screen of my environment, compared to the self-image of the CELL of the cells within the body that are either filled with faith or fear. Faith is what allows us to remain aligned with truth in the moment, of the present moment. The moment has momentum nearly in it when you add a me to it, which is where we see that as the first person in our story, we get to be the I, me, mine, ours, us, you is second. First remains those options of we and us and mine and me. So those aspects of me telling my own story are what allow me to remain in the first person perspective. Now, you becomes a second person perspective, which is where you are observing me. I am not a she. You could observe that, yes, she, to me, is a woman. However, to address us as a specific gender expression, because of the way that we express ourselves, is a misnomer that gives us a number, which is a label, a mark or title, that changes our identity so that we no longer are as we originally were, which is the true mark of the beast. And then the beast is actually the nervous system that we must learn to settle ourselves. Do you want to know what? I'm going to just share a quick personal story from when I was being released from the Mental Health Act. First a Form 1, that's a 72 voluntary hour stay, and then it was flipped into a Form 3, which is a 2-week involuntary stay, that they didn't want me to leave because I wasn't addicted yet. And so the psychiatrist, the man acting as a psychiatrist, whose last name was Bieber, and this was in 2019 at Hamilton West 5th, the mood disorders program, where I was being held against my will and wishes because I had tried to declare that I was doing then what I am now. I was ahead of my time. I was ahead of time itself. The ledger was the ledge that I ran over and under and around and found that I am present, I am present, I am found right here where I am. But you will see me and call it there, because there is a time stamp between what is real and what you see. Which is why the image we put our power into, if it's vested outside of us, we then trust and interface. I had a friend reach out and say, Laura, what is this meaning of cryptocurrency? Well, it's the currency of frequency that we see energetically. But crypt means the cave or crypt where we keep the dead. So this is where we bring in the underworld of the counterfeit version of reality, that our identities come from in a realm that we cannot access without the interface, where then we face off with a screen instead of a being that is real on the other side who can feel us, whereas you can't feel me. You only see what I project onto the screen, and then you interpret, and it activates and triggers aspects and frequencies within you, which is why we're not islands and we are here in this together. So let's get it together. I'm going to have more for you soon, but last night and today was really significant for us all. So I want to say thank you to the ones who are willing to go through it, because we've always got to walk backwards through the karma that we created to get there. And then I remember, there is always here until we add the timestamp of a cross. For the descansos, the marks, where life as we knew it stopped, and life as we'll come to know it begins. It's where we are. So the story of Dr. Bieber goes that when he met with me for the longest period of time, he saw me for the 2+ weeks I was being held at West 5th. This man personally guaranteed me that I would fail to self-regulate when I told him that was why I had denied the medication that I had taken only to demonstrate compliance and willingness to conform in my own quote-unquote healing or recovery from the perceived psychotic episode with bipolar tendencies, because in the April before that, I had destroyed my reputation, self-image, identity as I knew it, when I invested in someone that used and abused me, and then chucked me to the side when someone else would cover the tab I had been covering, under the promise to pay that never paid. But I went into a super low period at that time when that experience happened, and I didn't have anything lined up, and I was trying to work on the City of Hamilton presentation that I was supposed to do as a private workshop that could have been a really good opportunity, except I pulled out 2 weeks beforehand due to mental health issues. It was a mental health crisis was what I called it when I pulled out and said I would like to be able to share the story of my improvement and use the experience of hitting a rock bottom in order to then build up from. Except I didn't know that it wasn't the bottom when I thought I had hit rock bottom. I just hit a edge before I then fell further when I was held against my will and wishes in a terrorizing place, literally, quite literally. And then I was on the cusp of gaining my freedom, having denied the opportunity to apply for ODSP because clearly I am incapable of holding down a job because I choose to pour into an online venue I haven't been asking to be compensated for the value that I've been offering. But if you wish to support me on e-transfer, PayPal, or Patreon, I have some incredible things coming, including a special practice for the month of December that is going to be part of a holidays preparation plan for your sanity and beyond. It's time to start playing with the idea of crazy, but also recognize that Bieber, JB, hey he, I look forward to meeting ye, truly, because you've been used as a pawn in another man's war for years, when you were preyed on while you were so young you didn't even know that your abusers and handlers had their own agendas. But we'll get there. And if you know Justin Bieber, then please do connect him to this video so that he can know that for years I've been trying to reach out, and I said it at 3:33, which is all about the Trinity of the Holy See that we didn't see, because it's the invisible and hidden hand of the corporations that can create private-public agreements that are hyphenated to merge two things that are unequal. And yet then we would converge into the difference between what is truth and what is fiction, which is in the diction for nonfiction has become the substitute for what used to be truth and now no more includes even that which is at the fount of truth, but instead includes fiction, for the universe doesn't differentiate negatives but only gives us more of what we focus on. Therefore, when this man named Dr. Beaver in the institution where I was a prisoner, he told me that he personally guaranteed me that I would fail to self-regulate, and when I did, go to the hospital, go to the ER. Too much sleep would make me depressed, and too little sleep would make me manic. He didn't offer more insight, but his personal guarantee pissed me off enough for me to stand firmly in that until I got home and had lost my contracts, was in the basement, had a grandma suffering from daily chronic pain from rheumatoid arthritis, and grandpa smoking and playing the chainsawing and noise that she couldn't escape up here. So she just sat next to it, and it would have driven her crazy, for she was like me. But anyway, I went back to Brantford General then, under the Mental Health Act, again, for 5 days, to then learn it's just a pen to hold people who are willing to give their power away in order to say, okay, doctor, please diagnose me. Where I hadn't got a diagnosis. Bipolar is on a spectrum, and certainly I reflect that. So what then, you say? Can you diagnose one as crazy as me, whose artistry is out of the box to the point where I don't even know where the box was or is? So therefore, I have to create one, which is what I've been doing with the Peaceful Inner Warriors United Initiative, to help guide soulful seekers inward, so we no longer hide from ourselves or what we could be. If only we would look after ourselves the way we need to, in order to be the ones who not just inherit a mess, but actually shift it into something we create and can be proud of. Because we didn't wait for the corporations to mandate who we can date, but instead we said, no, 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 man will not wait. Our story of not enough must become the story of we've had enough. And so then we come together and we say, I have these skills. I can exchange this energetically. And then that's how we shift, because we become valuable to one another, because that's what's required. So before we try to aspire any higher than we've already got, I want to say I have not forgot that this has required a tremendous amount of your team this day, which is time, energy, effort, attention, and money. I don't require your money, but if you were feeling like you wanted to give back energetically and become a patron so you can participate in the special practice program for the month of December and beyond, then please go to Patreon to let me know by action, so that then the reaction is access to group coaching calls, where we can move through energy that needs to be called back into the present moment snap. From up top, in fact. Woohoo! I love nails, which is what started this message. And the fact that I love nails so much, it gives me extra woo, because I love my experience being me more. And isn't that what life is about? Therefore, I'm going to get my ass to Moto Yoga this afternoon at 5 o'clock for my first class back. And I'm excited, in fact, delighted to be able to go back to the hot room. Oh, it's my sanctuary, my temple. For the temples that hold and balance the temple I am for my soul. I am for my soul is first person perspective. We must hold our position lest an imposition shift us into a third party experience because we invited a middleman to stand in between I am and they, them, theirs, his, hers, its. Those are third person that make a party out of the one who is no longer just there on their own because they've got an agent or a guardian that has to speak for them, because that's what we do on a public forum. You know what I'm saying? Because in the public, we have representation of what we actually are in the flesh, to then be less by just only being paperwork that gets pushed around by paper pushers and policy makers in the second person agent position that you would be if you stepped into the corporation to be on the other side or receiving end of the orders that you must fulfill as a public duty, obligation, liability, or need. So, there you go. Leave a comment down below to let me know what this message means to you, what it means for you, and what you're going to do with it, so then we can move through it together, because that is what Hamiltons do, which is the surname of the family or tribe I come from, and I am grateful to have come through those that I did, because they loved me too and continue to do as best as they can, the extent of what they could or can. And I do my best too, and we're all making it through, and we could do better, yeah. But we are also weathering a serious storm culturally and societally, where we have placed value in profits more than prophecy. Profits of a corporate nature compared to prophecy of true prophets. Whew. Boom. I feel like it's a mic drop time. Leave a comment. Let me know what you find.